So we got a few answers already. Some people love the challenge. Some people like making videos. One response when clients have a new insight or an aha moment. So when we're helping our clients do better, which is great. Have some people meeting and working with the people, their friends at work. Fixing something that is broke. So taking things and making them better. This is good. A lot of the stuff we're going to be talking about, what rings true for you guys rings true for most people. And so we'll kind of go through some of these and how to help people find these kinds of ways to be happier. Realizing I'm good at something. One of the things we'll talk about is strengths and the concept of using our strengths. So, a lot of times people focus on what they're bad at, but knowing what you're good at and focusing on that helps people be happier. Writing and winning briefs. Sounds like an attorney, right? Writing, winning arguments and briefs. So great, yeah. So hopefully most of us have jobs we like to do, and the things we do in those jobs really get us going, really make us happy. So we'll give it a couple more minutes, just give everybody a chance to get logged in, and then we'll get this thing going. So somebody wrote a best friend at work. Again, relationships are really important at work. We'll talk about that. Okay, so hopefully most people have gotten logged in. I'm sure there'll a few more people be joining us as we go, but let's get this thing started. All right, so welcome to Happiness in the Workplace. My name is Ray White. I'm Director of Workplace Programs for the Pursuit of Happiness. And most of you have seen our website, pursuitofhappiness.org. And, we're focused on bringing the science of happiness to life and helping people find the information, research, and data that actually proves happiness is important and actually proves there are ways to be happy. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. So we'll start with a little story. Many years ago, in a faraway land, two princesses had a dream, and they wanted to start a new kingdom where employees were happy. They'd been kicked out of their old kingdom by a mean witch who promoted her subjects based on how unhappy they were and how unhappy they made their employees. Because, of course, she knew that if the employees weren't happy, they're not working hard enough, and if they're not working hard enough, they weren't going to make her rich. So the princesses set out to change the world. But even the elders of the new kingdom had their doubts about the profitability of a kingdom based on happiness, a kingdom with happy employees. So the elders hired a chancellor from a very large kingdom of Fortune 500. And that chancellor happened to be me. My name is Ray White. I've got 33 years of experience, 9 of it at the C-level. I've been with 2 Fortune 500 companies, 6 startups. In the last 2 companies, we won 14 Great Places to Work awards. And we do that because we focused on happiness and engagement of our employees. I teach happiness, I teach success and leadership, and like I've told you, I'm part of the Pursuit of Happiness team. And what's most important is what these princesses taught me. For every one thing I was able to bring to them, they taught me 10 different things. And that's what I want to share with you is kind of what these ladies taught me and how to really be profitable and run a good company. So let's start with a poll. One of the things I want to focus on is I want to make sure my comments reach your needs. And so I'll get this poll going here. what we want to know is, are you wanting to, here, just a second, hopefully. So, are you wanting to improve happiness in the workplace for yourself? So you want to be happier at work? Do you want to do it for your team, like you've got a group that you manage? Or do you want to do it for the whole organization? And so I'll try to adjust my comments based on that. And we'll give everybody a minute or two here to get their votes in. Just a few more people. Most people have voted. We're up to 80%, so you guys keep going. By the way, throughout the presentation, if you have any challenges, you can type your question up in the upper right-hand corner, and I've got a moderator who will try to let me know what's going on, and we'll try to get things working for you. All right, well, let's go ahead and close this poll and look at the results. And so a lot of people are here to learn how to be happy at work, which is great. We'll focus on that. And a lot to help their team and a few to help their organization. So I'll try to manage my comments accordingly. So mostly how we as individuals can be happy. We'll work a little bit on the team, and then we'll also work a little bit on the organization. So let's get back to our slides. Okay, so the first thing I want to clarify is when we talk about happiness, I'm not talking about rainbows and cotton candy, right? So we're not talking about employees skipping around the office and smiling all the time. Although that's fantastic, that's probably not realistic. And that's really not what we talk about when we talk about happiness. We're more talking about an employee or you yourself or your team wanting to get up out of bed every day and go to work. So when you get up in the morning, you're going, yes, I do want to go to work, versus, oh my gosh, I've got to go to work today. It's going to be another horrible day. So that's what we're focused on when we talk about happiness. And our measurements when we were doing this were business performance. How did we do as far as profitability, revenue growth, those kinds of things, and how do we do compared to our competitors, employee surveys and asking how the employees were doing, and eventually great places to work surveys and benchmarks. So we did engagement studies, and when we applied for Great Places to Work awards, it was all based on the employees and what they had to say. So we could use those and benchmark those against what other companies like ours were saying. All right, so let's see what we can. All right, so why is happiness important? Why should we be talking about it? Your happiest employees are 47% more productive than their least happy colleagues. And, what you guys are going to see here is I'm going to try to throw out as much of the science as I can. I'm also going to throw out my experience and what we've run into. But there's a whole lot more to support this. When I give you this bullet point, I can give you 50 more that are very similar. So we'll go through a few of those. The other thing is, down in the bottom right hand of your screen, you'll see my email, raywhite1@verizon.net. I'm not going to be able to get to all the questions today just because there's so many people and there's so many things we've got to talk about. But I'll try to get to the ones I can. But feel free to send me an email, raywhite1@verizon.net. Feel free to send me an email, and I promise I'll answer every question that comes over email that I'm not able to answer during the session today. So the happy employees are more productive. We can link employee satisfaction engagement to customer satisfaction, so it makes our customers happier. There's a clear relationship between high levels of employee engagement and improved financial and operational results. And engaged organizations have 3.9 times earnings per share. So almost 4 times earning per share growth rate compared to organizations that aren't as engaged. So it is important to teach these organizations how to be happier. So getting back to our story, the princesses clearly communicated the purpose of their kingdom. And the purpose we worked with in this case was relationships and results. And so what does the science tell us? The science tells us that human beings want meaning and purpose in their life. They want to belong to something or have something that's bigger than themselves, right? And that's from Martin Seligman. Doctors who are allowed to work on something meaningful to them cut their burnout rate by 50%. So here you've got a group of people, and every day their job is to help people. Yet when they were allowed to do something even more meaningful than that, usually it had to do with research on some kind of a cure or something like that, they cut their burnout rate by 50%. So it works for autonomy and purpose. So I talked to you about the science. Now let me talk to you a little bit about our experience and some ideas of how we did this, right? So you want to give your people a purpose. You also individually want to have a purpose if you're going to work. Why go to work? Why should I be doing this? And so start with writing your why. If you're a team leader, then you want to work with your team and get them to write their why. But why are you doing this? And some people are doing it. Some people go to work so they can get up in the morning and go surf, or in the afternoon and go surf, or go sailing or something like that. And some people are working so they can afford to buy a house. And some people are working so they can put their kids through college. But understanding your why and understanding the purpose of going into the office is going to help you be happier about it. Second, what about the company or your work makes you feel proud? And so we had a few comments at the beginning of the webinar. Some people like what they do at their job. For instance, the attorney was talking about doing cases and arguing cases, and that made them happy, right? Figure out what those things are. Write down the things that make you feel proud. Helping your clients makes you feel proud. Finishing a project, accomplishing something with your company makes you feel proud. So be aware of those and write those down. How do the company vision and values apply to your life, right? So most companies have written vision and values, and even if they're not written, a lot of them have them in some unstated form. So how do those apply to you? How can you match your values with those of the company? If you value integrity and your company also values integrity, that's going to give you more interest and make you happier about going to work. It gives you a reason to be there, to be part of something that has the same values that you have. Identify how working at this company will help you reach your dreams. So we have what we call dream managers. And there's a book by Matthew Kelly called The Dream Manager, and it's the concept that you can have a person help you reach your personal dreams. And, we talked about some people want to buy a house. Well, if we as a company can help them buy a house, they're going to be happier. If you've got somebody on your team who's trying to save for a new car and you can support them and help them and give them ideas and give them research, they're going to be happier. And you as an individual, if you know what your dreams are and you understand how what you're doing every day contributes to those dreams, then you're going to be happier doing it, because you're not doing it for the job. You're not doing it for the company. You're doing it for a reason. You have a purpose, and you understand how what you're doing each day fits into your dreams. So gifts. So I kind of want to stop here real quick and make sure we're clear. For those of you who are looking to lead teams and or organizations as far as happiness goes, happiness is a gift. You can create an environment. You can give people an opportunity for happiness, but you can't make them happy. If you work on a team, you've got, let's say, 5 or 6 people with you, and you want your team to be happy, that's great. You can provide that environment, but you can't make them happy. And even you as an individual, if you're going into the office and you wish you were working with happier people, you can do things that create an environment, but you can't make them be happy. And so as long as we know what we're working on here is given the gift of the environment and the opportunity, then we're in good shape. And understand that they may not choose to receive that gift. They may choose not to be happy, and some people are set that way. And like gifts, different things make different people happy. So the things that you may believe are going to make them happy may not be what really makes them happy. So really what we want to focus on, if you're an individual, is to do the things that are going to make you happy and hopefully help other people be happy. But let's focus on making sure you're happy. If you're a team leader, just creating an environment that should encourage happiness and understanding that some people will participate in that environment and some people won't. As a matter of fact, what we found is there was a lot of naysayers, and at first it was a small group of people that participated, and then little by little people wanted to join that group. As that group was happier and higher performing and more productive, more and more people wanted to join that group, and pretty soon there became very few naysayers. And so, start with you and a friend, and then people will see how great it is, and they'll start to join your group. Okay, so back to the story. The princesses gave them control of the kingdom. And if you're an organizational guy, this will freak you out. Giving the employees control of the kingdom sounds crazy, but you give them control with accountability. And what everybody needs is a form of autonomy. Everybody wants to feel like they're in control of their lives. And so autonomy, the feeling that your life, its activities and habits are self-chosen and self-endorsed. This is really important for happiness. Having a strong sense of control into one's life is a more dependable predictor of positive feelings of well-being than any of the objective conditions of life we've considered, and it's more important than money. Autonomy is a better predictor of happiness than money. And so giving people anything they can, any way we can to let them have control of their lives is going to be an important part of their happiness. And so for you as an individual, write down the things that you can control and the things that you can't control. For instance, when you could take a lunch break. And again, I know this seems small, but it's really important. It's really important for you to write down the little things that you can control. When you can take a lunch break, what you can wear to work. Sometimes you can choose who you work with, or who you sit next to, or what your desk looks like. Again, write yourself a list of things you can control, things you can't, and focus on those things you can control. As an individual, there may be people you really like, and you can find ways to end up working with them. Find out if they need help with something. When you have a project going, see if they're included on the project. Try to work with them, ask them questions, try to help them out. The other thing, and we had a lot of people do this, is people take ownership over company culture and activities. We had a lady who wanted to send out an email to kind of update everybody on birthdays and how the company was doing and kind of what was going on. So she started that email, and everybody loved it, and they began to contribute to it. And actually, when she left the company, somebody else took it over. And so they started changing the culture of the company just on their own by sending out an email and trying to keep people up to date, talking to people. So if you want to be happier as an individual, you can try to change little things within your company. Just do small little things that you can maybe take control of. So the princesses challenged each member of the kingdom to learn and implement their roles to the best of their ability. And again, we talked a little bit about strengths, and we'll get into that in a minute. But flow is the ability to have an activity that challenges you to the level of your skills. It's that time when you get into something, you're working on it, and you completely forget about time. You don't remember where you are or what time it is. You're just so focused on the task. And so Csikszentmihalyi wrote several books on this. The optimal flow, the psychology of optimal experience, finding flow. But what he said was the best moments in our lives are not passive, receptive, relaxing times. They occur when a person's body or mind is stretched to its limits in a voluntary effort to accomplish something difficult and worthwhile. In other words, we're not happiest when we're watching TV. We're happiest when we have this challenge in front of us, and we're so focused on that challenge that we forget about everything else. And so finding moments of flow in your job is going to help you be happier. So the ego falls away, time flies, your whole being is involved. You're using your skills to the utmost. And top two aspects of an ideal job: progress in their careers, be good at their jobs. And again, goes back to finding flow and having flow in your job as often as you can. So how do you find flow? What do you do? The first is to identify the tasks in your job that you truly enjoy and find challenging. Create undisturbed blocks of time to focus on those tasks. So, I enjoy creating presentations. When I'm going to create a presentation, I close my door, focus for an hour to 90 minutes, and just don't think of anything else. I know, again, we had an attorney that liked writing briefs. We've had a person that liked working with their clients and solving problems with their clients. So looking for those opportunities, kind of recognizing, hey, this is when I really get into my work. This is what I really love doing. A lot of people, for instance, service people, retail people love it when it's really busy and they can help their customers. Customer service people like it when they're getting lots of calls and they're helping one person and then another person and then another person, and things are really busy. So looking for those types of moments in our lives when we can find flow and leverage that. Trading with team members, taking on activities where you easily find flow in exchange for them doing something from your list of activities. So, we have some people in our organization that are very verbal and linguistic, and we have some people that are very quantitative and numbers oriented. And we found that those people would switch jobs because one group liked working on a spreadsheet and put numbers in a spreadsheet, and they would get into flow doing that, while another group liked writing headlines and taglines and things like that. And so the ability to recognize that on your team and as an individual, and to trade with somebody else and help them out, is another great way to find flow. And then create methods for making your boring tasks more challenging and interesting. One of the things we run into all the time is we all have these kind of boring things that we have to do, and a lot of us have jobs where we spend 3 or 4 or 5 hours a day doing those kinds of things. Well, we can find flow by making those more interesting. A great example is we had a lady who focused on she had to go through and check the quality of some headlines that were being written, right? So she gets 1,000 headlines and has to check the quality of them. And so to find flow, she would set herself little goals of, number one, it has to be 100% quality, but number two, can I do 100 of these in an hour? And then maybe can I do 100 of these in 50 minutes? Or can I do 200 in an hour and a half? And so she set these little goals for herself, always maintaining 100% quality, and to see if she could make herself better. And that helped her get into the flow. That helped her enjoy what normally would be a boring task. Relationships. Again, I mentioned relationships at the beginning, and this is one of the most important parts of being happy at work. And in our story, the princesses strongly encouraged interaction. And gone are the days when going to work means everybody needs to sit and be quiet and get their work done. We're not doing that anymore. The best way for people to be productive, especially now that most people are knowledge workers, they use their brains, is for them to interact with people and to talk to people. And that does two things. It makes them feel better about what they're doing. It makes them feel connected to work. It generates ideas for them. And it also gives them a time to recover. Again, if we go into a 60 or 90-minute period of flow, we need a time for our brain to recover. And so getting out by the coffee machine and talking to people is one way to recover. So the science. Experts at the Gallup organization suggest people need to have good friends at work, and that's based on Diener. Diener and Diener wrote a great book called Happiness, well worth reading. Social support was the best predictor of happiness during stressful times, and one of the big things we find at work is everybody gets stressed, and so those relationships and those friendships are going to help people be less stressed. 70 years of evidence that our relationships with other people matter, and matter more than anything else in the world. This is Valent, and this is a study that of Harvard students that was started like 70 years ago. And Valent, I think, took it over like 40 years ago. But out of all the data of watching Harvard students over a 70-year period and whether they were successful, out of all that data, the one conclusion, or the biggest conclusion he came to, is that relationships were important for success and happiness. So what do we suggest you do based on our experience? So if you're an individual, you want to be happier, include more people in your network. It's very common for people to find 2 or 3 people they're very comfortable with, and to always go to lunch with those same people, and to always spend time with those same people. And that's great. It's good that you have those friends, but we need to expand our network. We need to look for friends of friends. So one of the things you can do is ask your friend to bring somebody you don't know to lunch, so that you can meet other people and expand that network. So try to include more people in your network. Identify people versus jobs. and be authentic about yourself. So instead of thinking, yeah, that's Joe in accounting, how about it's Joe that's got 3 kids and loves to go sailing? Or it's Lisa who likes to ride motorcycles and works in HR. And then be authentic about who you are. When we're at work, some of the older generation, like me, tend to focus on work and talk about work and not like reveal our personal lives. But again, that's old school. What we need to do now is we need to talk to people about who we are. We need to share our hopes and our dreams and what we want to accomplish in life and what's going on great in our lives and even what's not going on great. To build those relationships, to be authentic, so people could see we're real people. And if you're running an organization, this is really important at the executive level. It's really important for employees to know you as an executive are really a human being who really cares about them and has your own good and bad challenges in life. Practice random acts of kindness. Bring a friend a cup of coffee, bring a box of donuts into the office. So as an individual, leaving somebody a Post-it note about how great a job they did, recognizing somebody with an email. As a team leader, this becomes even more important. Sending an email to your whole team to tell somebody how great a job they did, bringing donuts in the office for somebody or for the team, talking everybody into going out for an ice cream at 3 in the afternoon, right? Hey, let's all take a break and go out and have an ice cream, or let's all take a break and go out and kick a soccer ball, throw a football around. Practice ways of helping people, showing kindness to people, being nice to people. This is going to grow your relationships. Facilitate and encourage friendships in the workplace. Again, I talked about that on an organizational level. Expand the size of the coffee room. Make the coffee room bigger so people can go in and meet and talk. Find ways for people to get to know each other. We have all kinds of vendors come in, and when those vendors come in, we invite our employees to go out to the taco truck and have a taco and sit down on the benches and talk. And Google actually has some science behind the size of their tables. They make big, long tables, so people have to sit down and meet each other and talk to each other. But find ways to actually make real friendships in the workplace. Celebrate birthdays, work anniversaries, promotions, and babies. Another key to relationships and happiness is being happy about good news. And how you react to good news really helps determine the value of that relationship, the value that somebody else places on that relationship. So, when somebody has a birthday, it's a great way to just say, hey, I appreciate you, and I know you're part of the organization, or I know you're a close friend of mine. Same things for anniversaries, promotions, babies, kids graduating high school, completing a project on time, getting through a stressful presentation. Anything you can do to celebrate small wins is great. Events and teams, dividing your teams and making them a little competitive. We have what we call the Office Olympics, where we push people around on office chairs. We race around the office on office chairs. We throw felt tip or Sharpies at a dartboard. We just make up all these crazy games that we can compete against each other, because a little competition among the group actually makes everybody friendlier and more connected, both within the team and across teams. And then employer-supervisor relationships, employee and supervisor relationships. This is one of the most important relationships in the workplace. The number of people who leave is very much related to their relationship with their supervisor. And so if you're an individual and you want to be happy at work, it's almost required that you find a way to appreciate your boss. Show them respect, empathy, gratitude, and admiration. Write down the things that you like about them. Get to know them as a person. Bad bosses usually are bad because they just don't know any better and they don't know how to do it. Rarely do you really have bad people that you're working for. Although that is possible, it's rare. And so find a way to appreciate and respect your boss. And at the very least, if you've got a horrible boss and there's just nothing good about him, at the very least, what you can learn from your boss every day is what you don't want to do when you become a supervisor. So, but find a way to show respect to your boss. Find a way to get along with your boss. If you're a team leader, find a way to get to know your employees. Find a way to be authentic and let them get to know you. And if you run an organization, focus on your supervisors. Your supervisors are the key to the success of your company. Your employees are the ones that are touching the clients, and the supervisors are touching the employees. And so we need the supervisors to help the employees be happy and to help the employees be productive and to get out of their way, not get in their way. The kingdom reached out to help others. This is a really fun part of what we do. The science says 75% or more of employees want to be involved in their company's giving and volunteer programs. Millennials who frequently volunteer are more likely to be proud, loyal, and satisfied. Millennials who participate in their company's volunteer activities are 2 times more likely to rate their corporate culture very positive. And by the way, millennials, I think at this point, 32 and under is what we call millennials. So they're kind of the younger generation of the workforce. Companies that connect the dots between talent and volunteerism will likely be rewarded with happier workers. And these last 3 bullets are from the Deloitte Volunteer Impact Survey. So caring for other people, caring for the community, caring for things outside and inside the company is going to make your employees happier. And as an individual, it's going to make you happier if you find a way to give. So as an individual, you can organize a charity experience. You can volunteer at a school, at a hospital, senior care facility, go out and plant trees, work with a local shelter. You can do this on your own. You can invite your teammates to do it. You can invite other people in the company. So as an individual, there's a lot of ways you can find to give from work. Our teams have organized things as simple as canned food drives. We had a lady who was very connected through family, personal experience to, I believe it was the prevention of, let's just call it abuse prevention. Anyway, so there were runs associated with that. There were donation opportunities, volunteer opportunities, and she organized teams and the company around helping abuse victims. And everybody got excited about it and helped with it. We had a great experience. When our company was smaller, we used to take people for Christmas. We would take them to a hotel, feed them a nice dinner. We'd have this great Christmas party, and everybody loved it. Well, one of the employees was connected to a lower income school, and she suggested we go and help them have a better Christmas, because a lot of these lower income kids weren't even getting gifts on Christmas and didn't necessarily believe Santa Claus would visit their house. So she organized a group of us to go out and do crafts with the kids, help them create Christmas tree decorations and ornaments, help them make scarves for themselves. We actually had a group of musicians within our company that came and played as a band. We obviously brought Santa Claus. So we spent a whole day helping out those kids. And what we found was the hotel and dinner and all the money we spent almost became irrelevant. People didn't even talk about that. What they were excited about was what they could do for these kids and what it was like to see these kids' faces as we were able to, give them a little bit happier Christmas. And so these kinds of things really make a difference for individuals. They really make a difference for the company, and hopefully they really make a difference for the people we're helping out. So plan an act of kindness for a colleague going through a challenging life change. So, don't just focus charity on the outside of the company. We want to help our teammates. We want to help the people inside our company. We want to show that we care about those people. We've had people with cancers. We've had people with deaths in the family. We've had people with other forms of tragedy. And being able to rally as a group and help them out is good for the organization. It's good for them, and it makes us all happier. Ask your human resources group if they'll match donations. A lot of companies will match a donation. If you make a donation to a charity, they'll match that, so that that's worth, as an individual, you go in and check in on that. Okay, so the princesses created opportunities for team members to explore and leverage their strengths. And so Harzer and Rush found that employees who apply their signature strengths to their unique work circumstances experience greater job satisfaction, pleasure, engagement, and meaning. Strong connection between well-being and the use of signature strengths, because strengths help us make progress on our goals and meet our basic needs for independence. So knowing what your strengths are and utilizing your strengths, again, another key to happiness. And so how do you do that as an individual? How do you know what your strengths are? Well, the first is just identify, keep a written list. Think about it. What am I good at? What do I really like to do? What are my strengths? And write that down. The other thing is there's a website you can go to. It's down at the bottom of your screen right now, viacharacter.org. So if you go there, you can do a test and see what your strengths are. So it'll tell you what your strengths are. So help you with that list. There's one question that's come in about getting the presentation. You guys getting a copy of the presentation? I'll make that available probably by Monday. We'll have that out and available for you, as well as a copy of this whole webinar. We'll record this and make it available to you as well on pursuitofhappiness.org. So for those of you that want that. So, all right, so make a list of your strengths. Look for tasks and opportunities to apply them. So where can you apply those? What are some projects you can take on that apply those strengths? And then if you're leading a team, how can you understand what the strengths of your individual team members are and make sure each one utilizes those strengths? We talked before about employees that were good at qualitative versus quantitative, language versus numbers, and letting those guys switch out and use their strengths accordingly. And also develop those other areas too. So again, make a list of your strengths, understand the strengths of your team, and always try to utilize those strengths. We had in our organization what we called minors. And so everybody's doing their regular job, and your regular job's important, but you may have strengths that go outside of that. And so we would allow people to go out and explore those. For instance, if you're in accounting, you may have some interest in HR. So we would let people have these minors where they could go do work, say with interviewers or interviewees, interviewing candidates, or just helping in HR in general. And then the minors, we had so many minors and a lot of common minors that we actually turned those into tribes. So for instance, we had a lot of people who were really interested in mobile technology and what we were doing with mobile advertising. And so we actually got all those guys together to meet on a regular basis and talk about mobile. So all the people who mobile was a minor for them, they now became part of a tribe, which is well over 100 members now. And they meet every other week to talk about mobile technology and mobile advertising and how they can apply it to our company. Day in the life. Some people may want to explore their strengths. They may think they're interested in something and not know. So let them go and spend a day with somebody who is exercising those kinds of strengths. Again, if you look at the accounting person, they're interested in HR, but they're not sure if they can apply their strengths there. Let them go spend a day with HR. And again, if you're an individual, find a day or even a half day and just ask somebody if you can shadow them. Hey, can I watch what you do for a day? I think what you do is really interesting, and I'd like to learn more about it. In your reviews, one of the things reviews have become is telling people what they do wrong, and that's not really what a review should do. A review should help people be successful. If you want to be if you want your team to be happy, help them be successful. Tell them what they need to do to be successful. And so in your reviews, you could talk about people's strengths. What are your strengths? How can we work on your strengths? How can we develop your strengths? So again, that will help people be happier. And then understanding who are specialists and who are generalists. You've got some people in the company that are really good at being a mile wide and an inch deep. And then you've got other people in the company who are really good about being a mile deep and an inch wide. Figure out which jobs fit those people. How can they work together? You're going to have both types of people on your teams. How do you give the generalists the more general jobs and the specialists the more special jobs, and not make everybody be the same and do the same things? How do you leverage each of their strengths? All right. The princesses supported health and physical well-being. So researchers from the University of Bristol found that people who exercise on work days are happier, suffer less stress, and are more productive. Data from the U.S. General Social Survey revealed that healthy people are 20% happier than the average person. And research shows that physical exercise strengthens both the body and the brain. Exercise reduces stress and promotes the growth of new brain cells. So healthy people use their brains better and more often. And, I've talked here or given quotes here about physical exercise, but it's not just physical exercise. It's eating right, it's getting enough sunshine, and it's not strenuous exercise. It's not being crazy. It's just taking walks and getting out, getting in the air and that kind of thing. So what have we done? We have softball teams, soccer teams, basketball teams, and again, these all start with individuals. Individuals who want to play soccer just ask their teammates if they want to play. And they form a team, and sometimes the company sponsors those teams. And we have a lot of fun with other people in the company going out to watch them play. So you probably get more people involved just by going to watch the teams play than actually play on the team. Group walking. We found this is really big of small groups, 3, 4, 5 people going out at lunch and walking and talking at the same time. It's a great way to get together. It's not necessarily strenuous exercise, but it gives you some outside time, gives you some exercise and activity. Fruits and vegetables delivered regularly. Again, an individual came to us and said, "Hey, man, I'd love it if we had fruits available every day." And so they checked into it. They found out how much it cost. They gave us all the information, and luckily, I was just able to hand them a credit card and say, "Hey, put it on the credit card and charge it on a monthly basis." And so they were able to set up something that everybody enjoyed and helped everybody be healthier. Biggest Loser contest has been a real fun thing for us, where we measure the percentage of weight people lose, and we do this across offices. And a New York office will compete with a Dallas office and those kinds of things. And so those kinds of contests and competition build the relationships as well as helping everybody be healthier. Outdoor meetings and breaks. We put benches outside so that people could go outside and have meetings outside. We have several groups that will either go out and play hacky sack or throw a football around. Again, just taking a walk, kicking a soccer ball, throwing a frisbee. There's very active and less active things that different groups do based on kind of their interest level. But getting people outside for meetings, getting them to take breaks every now and then, again, make them healthier and happier. An easy one is the company-sponsored gym memberships. Again, this was started by an individual. The individual came to us and said, "Hey, I'd really love to be part of a gym. Is there any way we can negotiate as an organization?" And then they went and did that. They went and found the gym and did the negotiations, and then our HR team distributed the information. 5Ks and run for charities, and we've talked about this. We end up doing, I guess we do 3 or 4 different runs now, and we form teams and we bring in our families. My kids often go and run with us on these teams, and so it's a real easy way for people to get together and stay healthy. All right, so the moral of the story and what I've been trying to get across is happiness in the workplace is not a fairy tale. It's a business necessity. It's a direct path to sustainable performance and profitability improvement. I've seen it in several companies I've worked with now. I've seen how important it is. Happier employees make your company work better, make your company more successful. So I think we're going to stop there. I forgot. Yeah. So there's a list of books. I've talked a lot about a lot of different research, and there's tons of research. Again, I've got over 50 books just on these subjects. Lots of science, lots of studies. So we can share all of that with you. You can find a lot of it at pursuitofhappiness.org. But here's some good books that are good overview. So any one of these books would be a great overview for some of the stuff we've talked about. All right, I'll leave the books up a little bit. So, do you guys have any questions? We'll take the next 10 to 12 minutes and answer any questions that come up. And I'll give you guys a few minutes to type those in, stretch a little bit. Let me know what you think. Okay, so we'll try to take these as they come in. All right, first one. Can this be applied to different industries? So I've talked a lot about my industry, which is kind of the agency world, internet advertising world. But the Great Places to Work awards are for all types of industries, things from grocery stores to manufacturing plants to just general large corporations. So this works no matter what company you work in. People always want to be happy. And again, giving people the autonomy to figure out how they want to be happy and how they want to create their environment is really important. Okay, well, here's a good question. What do you suggest for working with government employees? And again, one of the things we find in the companies I've worked with is there's always some kind of constraints. And so even in those highly constrained areas, we find small ways for people to be happier. And it starts by working with a small group rather than a big group. Instead of taking something across the organization, trying to change everything, find a few people. Get those people to network together and find out what they like to do to be happier. Little things like putting plants on their desks and allowing them to have plants on their desks. Doing a small canned food drive. And again, a lot of times you have to sit down with HR. You have to come up with this list of 20 things and sit down with HR and say, can we do this? And they'll tell you no. And you say, okay, well, what if we turned it this way? What if we changed it that way? Again, and as individuals, it's finding those people and hanging out with those people that lift you up versus the people that bring you down. And sometimes your group is a down group. So go find a person who's an up person. And then see if you can start, find one person who might have the potential to become happier in your group and work with that person and hang out with them, find out about what their stresses are, what their challenges are, start caring about them. One of the great things about happiness is you can be happy by just giving, whether the other people become happy or not. So find out what everybody's birthday is and, bring in a cake for their birthday, whether they like it or not. Right? Or send them an email to tell them happy birthday. So it's not easy, but there's a lot of little things you can do. Yeah, one of the questions, okay, how do you help somebody who just doesn't want to be happy? And again, we've kind of talked about that. You really can't. You can't make other people happy. All you can do is create an environment, and they have to choose to accept that. And everybody is a little bit skeptical when you first start doing things like this because everybody thinks everybody else is out for themselves, and it's every man for himself type world. And when you just start giving and helping and being happy all the time, people aren't sure how to handle it. But once they see that it's a habit, it's something you do all the time, people start to react really well. And again, it starts with a few people, and people, even though they're skeptical, they get a little jealous seeing how happy you are, and then how happy you and 2 friends are, and then how happy you and 5 friends are. And it just kind of becomes a viral effect that everybody catches. How do you convince top management that happiness strategies are a worthwhile goal? That's a really good question. And the first answer is you don't talk about happiness. When you work with executives, when I've worked with executives, I just leave that word out. It's too fluffy for most people. Most executives understand the concept of engagement. Most of them do studies on engagement, so talk about engagement. And engagement is just a kind of a smaller piece of happiness overall. The second thing is to talk to them about productivity and performance. There's a lot of statistics out there about happiness and engagement improving productivity and performance. And so that's what you want to talk to them about. And by the way, all of those top executives are individuals, and all of those top executives want to be happy. So if you talk to them about the things of, how important are relationships in your life? Because any top executive has probably some pretty good relationships and is probably pretty good at networking. So, how important are relationships in your life? Well, we want to encourage those kinds of relationships for our people. One of the things I talk to top executives about is understanding the difference between the brain and the butt. You want to manage people's brains. Their brains are important. It's how they think and how excited they are and how engaged they are, and that's how productive they're going to be and how good their work's going to be. If you just manage their butt, make sure they're sitting in that seat, well, they could be surfing the web all day and maybe not doing anything for you. You want people who are excited about your business and want to help your business. So those are some of the things you can talk to top execs about. Another question: what is the most important aspect of all these things? So of all these things I've talked about, relationships seem to be a cornerstone. I guess let me back up for a second. There's not one key thing to improve happiness in the workplace. It's a lot of little things, and it's kind of a daily thing. It's doing things daily, not one activity, but on a regular basis, doing things to create the environment. And one of the examples I use is happiness soup. Everybody has to take these ingredients, mix them up themselves to kind of come up with their own flavor that they like, their own happiness soup. And so different things are going to be more important to different people. But if you look at the research, I would say relationships comes up a lot. And having good relationships with your supervisor, really, really important. Relationships with peers. And if you don't have those, you tend to want to find someplace else to work. Another thing is having a purpose and understanding why you're there. So having that purpose. And the other thing is recognition. People being recognized for doing a good job. People want to matter. They want to make a difference. And so helping them understand that they matter and you appreciate what they do. Those are the things that are important. I like everything at my job except my boss makes me stay late very often, and that makes me unhappy. I don't know how to say no. Any suggestions? And this is a big question that we run into all the time, and it's a tough thing to understand. But you kind of have to set rules. You kind of have to make it real clear to your boss that you have other priorities in your life, and you're going to get done everything they want you to get done. But you have to be home, for instance, for your son's soccer game. I've made it real clear throughout my career that I will make it to my son's footballs, my son's and daughter's football and soccer games, and that I will be there for vacation. For instance, I schedule a vacation every year, and I don't miss it, and I don't call into work, and I don't check my email. And I let my bosses know that up front. And nobody's really had a problem with it. When I sit down and I just explain it, my number one priority is my family, or my number one priority is my health, or my number one priority is, whatever it is. And that means I'm not going to be able to stay late tonight. Now, every now and then, I don't mind staying late and helping. But on a regular basis, I need to go and take care of those priorities first. So another piece of that to you being happier is understanding that there may be negative consequences of that, but your happiness is more important than trying to keep that boss happy. You can't control his happiness. You got to work on yours. Let's see. Okay, well, a real basic one. What if I don't like my boss? Very common, and I think what you have to do is find out what's good about your boss. Find out what you respect about them. Find out why they're in the position they're in. Hopefully it's for good, legitimate reasons. But, it becomes the process of writing down and focusing on the good things about your boss rather than the bad things about your boss. And, again, one real good example is maybe you can't find a lot of great things about your boss, and you just need to focus on what you can learn from them so that you can be a better supervisor and boss. We're all human. We all make mistakes. And when you're in a supervisory position, you have a lot more opportunity for everybody to see and judge those mistakes. And so feeling a little empathy for that and some respect for the position they're in may help a little bit. All right, so any questions I didn't get to, I'm going to collect up and shoot an email out. So maybe by Monday or Tuesday, all of your questions should be answered. If anything comes up that I didn't answer, shoot me an email, and I'll answer those as well. I really appreciate all your time. You can see more information on pursuitofhappiness.org. And again, feel free to ask me any questions. Thanks very much for your attendance, and have a good weekend.